Good afternoon, John Augustine back again. We're talking about the year 2002, some of the events that occurred. And on the third, is it? No, it's the 17th. I think it's the 17th or the 13th of May 2002. There was a new government formed. Fianna Fáil and PDs had formed a government up to June, and then there was an election called. So Fianna Fáil and the Progressive Democrats was re-elected, and Fianna Fáil had 80 seats, a great win. If they had got 4 more seats, they could have formed a government on their own. So they did very good. And so they formed a government again, which was good. Fine Gael lost 23 seats. Served them right. Labour stayed the same, whatever seats they had. And Sinn Féin won 4 extra seats. Now, they didn't have as many as they have now, but they increased whatever they had at the time. They had a bit more. And the leader of Fine Gael, I think it was Michael Nevin or Michael Nealon, or he was I think from Limerick, and he resigned as leader of Fine Gael, and then Ruairi Quinn resigned as leader of Fine of Labour. So they had been important in whenever they had this government, when Albert Reynolds was shafted by Dick Spring, the Labour leader, and so they are lost out in some ways. And Labour now is only I think Aon too has got more support in the recent opinion poll. Labour is down to 2%, and Renewal, led by Peadar Tóibín, is up at 3%. So if that's maintained, Peadar Tóibín of Renewal, no, it's Aon too, beg your pardon, Aon too, will have more seats in the next government when there's ever an election. So Sinn Féin seem to be doing well, but they might lose out because there's a new party to be established by a fella called Michael Collins from School in County Cork. And I hope he's successful and gets enough people from Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and other parties that are pro-life and will join a party that stands for that. So let's hope that that's successful. But that's the way it was in 2002. So that was a good sign, and I hope it did well. Now, then we hop from May, and I don't know, something must have happened in the next couple of months, but it's not down here. On the 11th of October 2002, the Irish Times had a new editor, Geraldine Kennedy, I think the first woman that had been an editor of that paper. I think it was owned by the McDougall family or something in a trust fund, because it was considered a paper that appealed to a certain section of the population. But there was a former editor, had his name in my head a minute ago, Douglas Gageby, and it was a very pro-Irish part, and it reported things in a good factual way. You could read it and wouldn't be annoyed, but it went some other direction and not good. And she was the start of the new way that they did things. And a great writer that they had, that more or less had a great article. One time they had the backbencher columnist from Healy, I think John Healy from Mayo, and he was quite good. He wrote a book. They never showed a stop about this. All the people having to leave Mayo, because no employment. Funny enough, P.D. Flynn, who got abused by the media, he did get work factories in Mayo and Castlebar, Abbott, and all these. So he did some good, and though you don't get credit for that, he was destroyed by Byrne, Gabe Byrne on the Late Late Show. He'd no right to appear in it. And he cut his own throat by saying he had to have 3 houses. And it didn't go down too well. So that was the Michael Noonan, that was the lad. Michael Noonan, he was the leader he was from Limerick. And I think he had set it on a path that wasn't successful. So they lost a lot of seats, 23 under his leadership. And then in the north of Ireland, as of midnight, that place is ungovernable. As of midnight, the Northern Assembly was abolished, and direct rule from Westminster in Britain occurred, because obviously the PDs and these ones, Paisley was active at that time, and he was very anti-nationalist and anti-Catholic. He caused outrage one time, and when he was an MEP, and when St. Pope John Paul appeared in the European Parliament, he abused him, and they threw him out. The members, they got to hold him and give him a root up where it hurts, out the door with him. He was a disgrace. But I think because of his behaviour and the behaviour there, the spotlight was on the Unionists. They're a very begrudging crowd. So that's what happened. They couldn't agree. They wouldn't agree with the nationalists. Now, this is the Irish people as voted no in the Nice Treaty. And down here at the end, on the 19th of October, the Nice Treaty, the second, was accepted. And the second referendum. And so the right to accept the democratic will of the people that voted no. And respect it, but they don't, because they're getting, it's a gravy train for the crowd. And so we voted against it. But it wasn't accepted. It had to have another put the frighteners on people. God help them. Voting for their own extinction, because our fishing rights are gone. And it's causing outrage in Killybegs and various ports because of what has happened. And they're not being allowed to do what they did for years. We were under the control of the British for so long, and now we're under the control of the EU. Will they ever sort of get something between their ears and use their own intelligence to make the country successful? Because don't forget, we have more Irish abroad than we have here. 30 million of them that claim Irish descent in the United States, and never mind other countries. Britain, for example, there must be 5 million or 6 million descendants of Irish people there. Yeah. Bye now.